This is the read aloud of the story of Redfeather and Ojibwe Tale. There was once a little boy called Redfeather who lived with grandfather in a village near a large meadow and a pond that was filled with frogs. Grandfather taught Redfeather to shoot a bow and arrow and told him stories about the different creatures that lived in their area. Springtime came, and in the evenings, Redfeather would take his bow and arrow to the pond and shoot all the frogs he could find. One evening, Heron came along and told Redfeather that she would give him her best feather if he would leave the frogs alone. "I have babies to feed," she said. "You are wasting all of the food." But Redfeather laughed at her and continued to shoot the frogs. When Redfeather had finished at the pond, he returned home. Instead of going to bed, Redfeather ran around making noise until Crane came by. "Redfeather, you must be quiet," Crane said. "You are scaring away the animals that I eat for dinner." Again, Redfeather laughed at the bird and continued his behavior. Finally, the birds went to Wise Owl, who lived near Redfeather's village. Owl became angry when he heard of Redfeather's misbehavior and swooped down into the village and carried Redfeather away as his prisoner. Owl would have fed Redfeather to his babies if not for Grandfather, who held a feast for all the birds. Grandfather hunted for 3 days and nights until he had enough food for the feast. Owl agreed to release Redfeather, and Redfeather promised never again to misuse the food that the birds need. Question 1. Which feature of the setting makes it clear the passage is a folktale? A. There is a meadow with talking animals. B. There is a pond with frogs. C. The season is springtime. D. It is evening in a village. 2. Throughout most of the folktale, Redfeather can be described as A. Humorous and mischievous. B. Disrespectful and selfish. C. Skillful and lucky. D. Helpful and silly. Question 3. What lesson does Grandfather teach Redfeather at the end of the folktale? A. How to hunt frogs in ponds. B. How to shoot a bow and arrow. C. How to honor other creatures. D. How to escape from mean owls. Question 4. From the folktale, you can infer that the Ojibwe believe that blank. A. The young are more important than adults. B. Animals and people both have rights. C. Hunting animals for sport is a valuable skill. D. Elders should excuse young people who make mistakes. There's an obvious answer here to me. Okay, make sure you're using your strategies on a scratch piece of paper, and do your best.